The movie revolves around a 17-year-old teenage girl named Casey who is at the top of her class. She is currently studying hard to prepare for her college admission examination. Her parents forbid her from getting into a relationship so that she can focus on her studies. However, like all teenage girls, she dreams of having a boyfriend. In the first scene, Casey is headed to school with her best friend Angela. On the way, they run into two mischievous classmates, Elton and James. It is revealed that the latter is in love with Angela. Following this, we are introduced to the disciplinarian in charge of their school, Mr. Wong. He is a ferocious man who despises students that break the rules and punishes them severely. Later during class, Elton bets Casey that their teacher will act love-struck after finding a love letter, the condition being that the losing person will owe a favor to the other. Shortly after class, the teacher finds the love letter and starts acting crazy, winning the bet for Elton. Later during PE class, it is revealed that he has a crush on Casey. However, he is too shy to express it. Another faculty student named Ewan is popular among the girls. Even Angela has a crush on him. After school, Ewan asks Casey out on a date and she considers accepting it. But right then, Elton intervenes and changes the topic. Casey manages to send him away, but soon he messages her asking her to decline the date as a favor that she owes him. Reluctantly, Casey rejects Ewan, and later that night, she informs Elton about it. This makes him relieved, and as they talk, it is obvious that they both have feelings for each other, but they hide it from their parents and friends. One day at school, a new principal is appointed, and all the students applaud for him as he seems very friendly and cool. Later in class, Elton bets that the new substitute teacher will be male, while Casey bets that it will be female. Unfortunately, after a beautiful woman enters the class, Elton loses the bet, and as per the rules set by Casey, he has to get naked. To everyone's surprise, he takes on the challenge and runs around the school with only his underwear on. After the ordeal, Elton is caught by the teachers and sent to the principal's office. Meanwhile, thinking that Elton will be expelled for his inexcusable behavior, Casey also enters the office and tries to take the blame for the situation. Luckily, the principal is very understanding and he forgives them both. But as they exit the office, Casey and Elton act as if they were punished badly in order to hide the fact that the principal had forgiven them. Following this, the two start spending the majority of their time together by going shopping, watching movies, and doing teenager stuff. They also try to hide their newfound relationship from their friends and family. Unfortunately, one day, a classmate named Sia notices the two acting differently together and gets angry. This is because she, too, has a crush on Elton. Time flies by and eventually they complete their exams and graduate from high school. On their last day, Elton surprisingly makes their relationship public, shocking everyone. A few days later, the couple takes center stage at a farewell party and dance their hearts out. The school principal then gives a speech and wishes the students the best of luck in their future endeavors. Meanwhile, James decides to dedicate a song to Angela and sings for her, eventually confessing his true feelings in front of everyone. Unfortunately, she turns him down, citing that she likes someone else. After the farewell party is over, it is very late, so Elton walks Casey home. To their delight, her parents are out of town, so they sleep together and end up getting intimate. Afterwards, Casey reveals that her parents want her to complete her studies at a prestigious university. However, she doesn't want to leave Elton behind, so she promises to study the remaining years of college with him and later enroll in the same university. One day, Casey argues with Elton, demanding to meet his family, and after a lot of debate, he takes her home. Surprisingly, the single father is very happy to finally meet Casey. He welcomes her into their apartment and they have dinner. Afterwards, Casey helps the old man clean up, and he generously offers her a spare key to their apartment, saying that she can come and go as she pleases. Shortly after, the old man leaves, and Casey takes this opportunity to ask Elton if he has ever considered marrying her. However, he replies that he isn't thinking of such a big decision because he first wants to build his career and become rich. He also reveals that his father is in debt to many people and he wants to pay it off in the near future. This touches Casey, and she immediately hugs him. One day, the popular girl from school, Sia, who is still infatuated with Elton, shows up at his workplace. In an attempt to win him over, she tries to seduce him. But just then, Casey walks in on them and becomes furious. This leads to a heated argument between the couple. Elton tries to explain that nothing is going on between him and Sia, but Casey doesn't buy it. As a result, he gets upset and storms off, thinking that she doesn't trust him enough. The same night, Casey realizes her mistake and decides to apologize to Elton. She buys him a small cake and heads over to his apartment to surprise him. Unfortunately, when she gets inside using the spare key, she finds Elton cheating on her with Sia. Unable to control herself and her emotions, she rushes outside and starts to bawl her eyes out. Elton comes after her and claims that he was frustrated with all of her daily nagging, which made him start a new relationship with Sia behind her back. Enraged, Casey lands a powerful slap on Elton's face before returning home, heartbroken. The movie then advances 4 years, where Casey has completed her bachelor's degree. After her breakup with Elton, she has become a totally different person and now is a well-established love professional. Her job is to guide other women on how to win men over. One day, Casey is invited to a fashion show where she meets her old high school friend Ewan. It turns out that he has also made a huge name for himself in the fashion industry. Casey tries to set him up with her best friend Angela and even arranges a date for him. However, the plan goes terribly wrong when Angela gets drunk and ruins the whole date. One day, Casey and her students enter a pub where she teaches them how to pick up handsome men with ease. However, as she goes to demonstrate her methods on a man, it actually turns out to be her ex-boyfriend, Elton. She immediately recognizes him, while Elton puts on a facade and pretends not to know who she is, even introducing himself with a different name. The next day, Elton surprisingly shows up at Casey's love class. She asks him to leave as she doesn't teach classes to men. However, when she finds out that he and Sia have broken up, she lets him stay. Afterwards, Elton invites Casey for dinner, and despite their awkward past, she agrees. They decide to dine in their favorite restaurant, a place that they regularly visited while they were in high school. There, Elton finally acts normal and expresses his desire to get back with her again. However, Casey coldly declines as she hasn't forgotten Elton's previous betrayal. One day, Casey attends a party with Angela and her other friend. To her shock, she finds out that it's actually Sia's engagement party and the two finally talk face to face with each other. Later, Casey becomes suspicious that Sia's fiancé wants to marry her just for the money, so she approaches him at a secluded spot and records the conversation between them. To her surprise, the man confesses that he doesn't love Sia, he's simply marrying her to get rich. Later, Casey plays the recording through a speaker and exposes the fiancé's true nature. However, instead of thanking Casey, Sia starts chastising her for ruining her big day. She then reveals something shocking. It turns out that Elton and Sia were not in a relationship, and it was actually his father who begged him to use Sia for her money. As she liked Elton, she agreed to help his family, but in exchange, he had to do anything she ordered him to do, including breaking up with Casey. After finding out the real truth about Elton, Casey feels bad and has a hard time seeing eye to eye with him. The next day at work, she announces that their new fashion designer will be Ewan. She then starts spending much of her time with him, much to the dismay of Elton. However, after a few days, Casey eventually comes to realize that Elton is attending the classes for her sake. Even the students want to know whether she will start a relationship with him again. This creates a huge dilemma in her mind, as on one hand, she doesn't want to reconcile with a cheater, while on the other hand, she knows that he was forced to betray her. The same evening, she meets up with Ewan, who abruptly asks her if she wants to travel the world with him. Before Casey can even reply, he pulls her and the two share an emotional kiss. The scene then cuts to her house where she packs her things, revealing that she has accepted Ewan's offer to travel the world with him. As expected, Elton isn't happy, so later that night he shows up to her apartment with an idea in mind. After a brief chat, he persuades Casey to come to his office, and there, he gives her a huge bouquet of roses, just like she had requested back when they were dating. Realizing that he still knows her likes and dislikes, Casey becomes happy. She then emotionally reveals that no matter how much she tries, she can never forget Elton. The latter also apologizes, saying that he got selfish after seeing his family's grim conditions. He then requests a second chance, promising to be with her forever. However, Casey doesn't say a word and simply walks away from him. The next day, Casey and Ewan head to the airport for their scheduled flight to Korea. However, her mind is somewhere else. Casey keeps thinking about Elton, and she still doesn't want to leave him behind. Then, all of a sudden, she apologizes to Ewan and boards a taxi. It turns out that she has finally made up her mind. She wants to be with the love of her life, who is none other than Elton. Shortly after, Casey finds him near a train station after not being able to reach him through his phone. The two then embrace each other and share a kiss, giving their relationship a second life. The movie ends with the two revisiting their old high school where they meet with the principal and the other teachers. And we learn Angela and James have also started dating.